you looking for a new football news app? I'm just gonna say yes, because either way, you're gonna tell me about one. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you need to check out One Football. This is the app that brings you all the latest football news, transfers, and live score updates directly to your phone. With the domestic campaign just a matter of days away, you're gonna want to know everything there is to know ahead of the new season starting. Whatever club in whatever league you support. Because whether you support Barcelona or Bayern Munich, AC Milan or Alfreton Town, who I can confirm are actually in the app, there is dedicated news for your club to make sure that you're always up to date with what's going on. And as if it couldn't get any better, it is completely 100% free. So there's no reason for you not to download it. Speaking of which, there is a link down in the description for you to go ahead and get it yourself. If you haven't already somehow, then make sure you do, because I'm watching you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the night. The Premier League season is but a couple of weeks away as I'm recording this video, and we all know what that means in the YouTube community. It is time to start winding up those predictions for the upcoming season.
Well, you just knew that was going to happen.
I was making some notes and doing some research for this one, and I cannot lie, this might be one of the all-time most difficult seasons to predict in Premier League history. Just bear in mind, please, if I speak ill of your team, it's not because I dislike you. I dislike what you've done in the transfer window, probably. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jim. They've done nothing, mate. And as I always say, I want to bookmark when I'm recording this video, so if you see it a little bit further down the line, you understand why I might not talk about certain topics. So I'm recording this on the 23rd of July. Now, if you go on to enjoy this video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Over 1,823% of you are not subscribed right now, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit that big red button. Let's cut the waffling. Let's get into proceedings, and we'll start with a team that I think is going to finish bottom of the Premier League, AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I'm sorry, because I actually really like Bournemouth as a football club. The Eddie Howe era was a great time. Now, they were great in the Championship last season. They ran Fulham towards the end. They only finished 2 points off them in the end. They've got a good side as well with a decent amount of Premier League experience, like Jefferson Lerma, Lewis Cook, Philip Billing, and obviously Dominic Solanke, who scored like, what, 29 goals last season. But they've only signed Ryan Fredericks and Joe Rothwell from Blackburn. They didn't score an outrageous amount of goals last season, and I always say, as a promoted team, you need an established striker or a lot of goals in your promotion season. They do have Solanke, in fairness, but unless they find a way to get goals from somewhere else on the pitch, I think they're going to struggle. Shouts out to Jadon Anthony, though. I didn't know about him before the season that's just gone, but hopefully he'll be able to spring on the scene as a new young talent. In 19th, you're probably not going to be surprised by this one. I've put Fulham. Now, I give Fulham grief because they're a yo-yo club. This is the best Fulham we've seen yet. Mitrovic has just come off the back of scoring about 68 goals in a year. João Paulinho is a solid DM that played a lot of the season in Portugal for Sporting last year. They brought in Andreas Pereira, so, I mean, that's a goal of the season candidate at least. But as I'm looking at it right now, there's still not quite enough, I don't think, for them to survive. However, they are linked with Bernd Leno, and Kevin and Babu looks pretty much done as well. If they sign both of those guys, that would be a little bit of that's a different situation altogether. There is potential there, and they scored a bucket load of goals last season, over 100. Now, next up, I kid you not, I spent hours, and by hours, I mean a singular hour, working out who I was going to put in this final relegation spot. Because for me, it's a 5-way shootout, all pistols at dawn duel. Not even one pistol, everybody's pistols all out on the table. And you know what? I've gone for the outrageous option, for the YouTube engagements. In 18th place, I am putting Everton.
Bang, see you later, you go in prison. You go in prison. And you're getting named and shamed.
If I'm going to be honest with you, they could quite easily survive, because as I said, there's 5 other teams I think they'll be competing with here, but they were awful last season, like truly dire, with about 5 games of the season to go. It was only really Richarlison who picked them up on his back and dragged them out of there, and he is now out of there. He's gone to Spurs. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's gonna just go fashion shoot, so you basically not got a striker. Now, they got a lot of money for him. They're not spending any of it, though. I don't know whether that's to make sure that they pass financial fair play regulations. The jury's still out on Frank Lampard. I still don't know if he can drag them where they need need to be. But they've got worse since the end of last season. James Tarkowski, in fairness to him, will improve what was a hopeless defense. If they lose Anthony Gordon as well, they're definitely down. Now after that, and you might be surprised that I'm actually lifting them out of the relegation zone, but I've gone for Nottingham Forest. The first time we've seen Forest in the Premier League for over 20 years after their playoff victory against Huddersfield. They have easily done the best business of any promoted team so far. Taiwo Awoniyi, ex of Liverpool, made a good name for himself over in the Bundesliga. Young fullbacks Nico Williams and Omar Richards. Versatile defenders in Biancone and Niakate, which is what you need really, like a lot of versatility. Dean Henderson, who was great for Sheffield United when he was on loan a couple seasons ago. That is a great deal. And then on top of that, Jesse Lingard, who they're paying a lot, but they need that Premier League experience because their original squad doesn't have a lot of it. 16th place, another team with pistols out at dawn, Southampton. I predicted them to go down last year. I apologize. Armando Broja came in, Livramento came in and did the business for them, but they don't have Broja anymore. Livramento's injured for the first 4 months of this season, so a lot of people are predicting them to go down again, and I do think they'll be firmly in the relegation battle this year, but they have made some astute signings that I think a lot of people are ignoring. Joe Aribo is a phenomenal midfielder from Rangers. Arnel Bella-Kotchap is a great pickup from somewhere in Germany. Manchester United wanted him at one point in the summer. They've signed 2 good youngsters from Man City, Bazunu especially, who'll start, but they definitely need to get an actual goal scorer up top to partner Shea Adams. Next up, and we've got Leeds, who again are a team in quite a big transition here. They've lost Rafinha to Barcelona, and they've lost Calvin Phillips to Man City. Easily their 2 best players. That is going to be a huge loss for them. They have gained some as well in becoming Red Bull USA United B team. They've just signed bare American dons from either Leipzig and Salzburg or whatever. Tyler Adams is a great little DM, and I love Sinistera, I think it is, the guy from Feyenoord. He was amazing for them last year in Europe. Another crucial thing, hopefully, for Leeds will be having a bit more squad depth this year, so they're not playing like under 14s in the league, and Patrick Bamford being fit. That will probably help them too. And the final of the teams that I think is definitely going to be involved or dragged into a relegation battle is Brentford in 14th. I'll be totally honest with you, if there was a bit more strength in the mid-table, I would have put them a lot lower. I do think they are going to struggle from second season syndrome a bit, but every other team that I've just mentioned has a clear, like, definitive problem, and I think Brentford are just like the better of the lot. They are going to miss Christian Eriksen, who provided a lot of creativity for them in the second half of last season, but Wissa's great, Tony's sensational. They brought in Strakosha, who's a great goalkeeper, was playing regularly for Lazio last year. Ben Mee is a great centre-back too. They've recruited well, as Brentford always do, but they just need a creative midfielder, in my opinion. In 13th place, and Gulls fans are probably going to be a little bit disappointed in me here, but I've gone for Brighton. Graham Potter is a great manager. I still just think they lack the goal-scoring prowess that they need to push on further, and they've lost Yves Bissouma as well, which is probably the most crucial thing there. A couple of the teams around them have progressed a lot in this summer window where they haven't. In 12th, another fan base that's probably going to be disappointed with me putting them here. I've gone for Wolves, who, in fairness to them, are having a pretty okay pre-season. As I'm recording this, they're currently beating Besiktas. I'm not taking much into account as well, by the way, when it comes to pre-season. It's more form at the end of last year and the signings that they've made. And Wolves, although they've improved a bit, they brought in Nathan Collins from Burnley, great centre-back. But it's like the rest of the field, again, like Raul Jimenez isn't the same Raul Jimenez anymore, unfortunately. Wang is good, but not necessarily top tier in this league. They have got Pedro Neto coming back though from injury, which is going to be huge for them. That'll be like a new signing because he was basically out for the whole last year. In 11th place now, we've got Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira, who had an amazing first season at the Eagles. It was a big change up. It was a big sweep of new players, and they managed to make it work. Obviously, they're losing Conor Gallagher. He's going back to Chelsea, but they brought in a really good midfielder in Czech Doucouré from Ligue 1. Maybe they could still improve at centre mid, even with Doucouré coming in. Maybe one more player there. Other than that, though, they've got lots of good players like Anderson, Gurhey, Mitchell, Mateta, Edouard, and of course Wilfred Zaha. In 10th place, and I'm going to go for Aston Villa here, which would be a pretty decent improvement on last year. Steven Gerrard is a great manager for me, given what he did at Rangers, but he was a little bit underwhelming coming in the second half of last season. Like, I think maybe they played better football, but they didn't really improve their position too much in the league. But it's a project in it, and he's now got an opportunity to bring in some players that are more to his style. Diego Carlos has come in from Lazio, Kamara from Marseille. They got Coutinho permanently now. If I'm honest, I feel like not getting into Europe with the amount of spending they've done would be a bit of a disappointment, but there is a lot of competition for those Europa League and Conference League places this year. They've got a really good squad, and they've got really good youngsters that were all involved in the under-19s Euros for England. So even if they do finish 10th this season, they're a club in a really, really good spot right now. In 9th, and we've got Leicester, a team that's been far more quiet than them in the summer window. Nothing, mate. They've not signed anybody at all. Like, not even a youngster they can slap out on loan. Their scouts are still on holiday. I would be a little bit worried about if I was a Leicester fan. Like, they've got a good squad with quite a lot of depth already. But again, there are teams improving around them, namely the likes of Newcastle and Aston Villa. And Jamie Vardy provide the 15 goals that he needs to again this season. James Maddison was great last year, but can he replicate that this time? They're a team without any European distractions, so they can just focus on the league, and that might save them. But they do get the likes of Fofana and everyone else back from injury, and they were plagued with that last year. In 8th place, and we've gone for the richest club in world football. Newcastle United are who I'm putting just on the edge of European football. Again, there's a lot of competition here and sides improving. It's a hard top 6 to break into these days. They brought in Nick Pope, who for me is a top 8 goalkeeper in the league. Sven Botman's coming from Lille, and obviously they've still got the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, Kieran Trippier, Alan Maximin, and obviously they were one of the better teams in the second half of last season. They might have only finished, I think it was 11th or 12th in the league, but if you took them from the point in which they were taken over, if you then elongated that over an entire campaign, they'd probably finish about 7th or 8th, maybe even 6th, to be honest. Up we go to 7th, and I'm going to put the team that finished there last season, West Ham United, grabbing themselves a Conference League spot again. I would genuinely have maybe put them a little bit lower, maybe like 8th or 9th, but they seem as if they are really close to signing Gianluca Scamacca. And I know I didn't do this with Fulham, but it's because I don't know whether they're signing Bernd Leno or not. But I'm going to assume that West Ham are going to sign this guy. He's a really good, young, highly rated striker coming over from Serie A. He is sick. They're signing him for £35 million. There was some really big clubs interested in him, and West Ham need that. They would have beaten Man United in the league, hands down, if they had a better striker than Mikel Antonio. I know Antonio got us all fantasy football points, but he's not good enough for that level. That's if, of course, he works for them. We'll see. West Ham have had some flop strikers in the past, but hopefully for him and hopefully for them, it does work and they take 7th. Now, we move on to the top 6, and things do really start to get difficult at this point. There's a few teams I feel that could finish in this region, but I'm gonna go for the mighty Gunners, Arsenal. I think this is the safest bet. This is the one that makes the most sense. Arsenal, honestly, I like you as a club. I think they've had a decent window. Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus are good. Fabio Vieira is an underrated signing coming in from Porto. I think he'll help them a lot too. They've got good young talent, the likes of Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli. They've upgraded on Alexander Lacazette, and that was a big weakness last year. I like their centre-back partnership, even though there's not a hairline in sight. But I just ultimately, on paper, think there are better teams than them in this battle for the top 4. But I think it will be a season of positives. I don't think there'll be quite as many like banterous moments. In 5th place, and I've gone for their North London rivals, Tottenham. Now this might be a contentious one. Obviously they finished in the Champions League last year. That may well be something that hinders them a little bit more this time around. I'd argue they've had one of the best transfer windows of anybody in the league. Bissouma, Perisic, who's a serious Conte signing, Jed Spence and Richarlison are all going to improve them. I still don't know if they need a Bissouma in a sense. They've got a lot of like holding mids or kind of like cautious midfielders. They don't have many that are like really creative and dynamic, but I think they'll still be fine. Like that front three of Kulusevski, Kane and Son was crazy last season. Got a whole year of Conte as well, not just 7 months, and they ended last year really well. I just ultimately can't get over the fact that they are Tottenham. They can't be allowed to succeed. Something has to go wrong, and a side that I think is going to beat them into the top 4 is Manchester United. Now I said I wasn't going to take pre-season into account too much, and I'm not necessarily. Results I don't care about, but if you can show that you're playing vastly differently to you did last year, then I think that should be taken into account a bit. It's showing that United's forwards are learning, because they are playing well under Erik ten Hag. Defensively is still a limiting factor. Midfield, still a limiting factor. If they don't get into the Champions League, it will be because they have McTominay and Fred in midfield. Obviously, they haven't signed Frankie de Jong yet. Apparently, he doesn't want to go there. If they don't sign him, honestly, they could finish 5th, and I think Tottenham could finish 4th. They've seen what Man City have done, and they've just decided to boldify the whole club. The whole of Manchester's gonna be bald if both of these teams get in the Champions League next season, as a celebration to the lack of hair follicles. And ultimately, they are a good team on paper, so I think they'll just about sneak into the top 4 to join the likes of Chelsea, who I think are going to finish 3rd again. I don't think necessarily Chelsea are as solid right now as people think they are. They're, for me, going to be closer to 4th than they are the title, for definite. But that's off the back of them signing Koulibaly and, of course, letting go of Rudiger and Christensen. If they had a centre-back 3 of Koundé, Silva, and and Koulibaly. That is insane. The big transfer dealing, I guess, out for them was Romelu Lukaku going back to Inter, which naturally makes them better. There's a bit of a striker-shaped hole, though, for me. Kai Havertz or Timo Werner could fill it. But yeah, they've got a good squad, loads of depth, obviously. The likes of Kante, Mason Mount as well. But for me, they're not on the same level as the top two. And if they don't sign another centre-back, then they might slip back towards Tottenham and United. Which brings us on to the top two. Realistically, you probably all knew who I was going to put in the top two. It's a shootout between Manchester City and Liverpool. This time, though, it's not pistols at dawn. Liverpool have brought the pistols, okay? The handgun. Boom. Manchester City have bought a laser-guided, heat-seeking sniper rifle bazooka machine gun. I'm putting Liverpool in second place, okay? And I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. Darwin Núñez is the big signing. Sadio Mane is the big departure. We're going to miss Sadio. He's going to slap it up at Bayern Munich. Darwin Núñez, despite what everyone's saying, I think is going to do relatively well. I think he's going to be someone that we can rely on for goals. And even if he doesn't, we've got the firepower of Salah, Luis Diaz, and Diogo Jota anyway. Plus the youngsters in Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho. At fullback, Trent Robertson, two of the best fullbacks in the league. Alisson, the best one-on-one goalkeeper in the league. At centre-back, Matip and Van Dijk were so solid last season, but Konate is another option. Quality-wise, does it match up to Manchester City? Potentially not, but I do think we've got more than enough to finish in second, and if we didn't, if we finished lower than that, that would be a massive disappointment. They're giving Salah a new contract as well, which is great, but I just don't think we're as inevitable as Man City are. Which, of course, brings us on to the team that I think is going to win the league this season, and there's no prizes for guessing. It's Manchester City. Erling Haaland. That is it. They're winning the league. People are saying that he's going to flop, right? And it might happen by some miracle, right? But I can guarantee people are only saying that because he's come from the Bundesliga. They're not looking at any other facts whatsoever in this situation, yeah? Fine, yeah, cool. He's coming from the Bundesliga. There is a bit of Bundesliga tact. Ignore the fact that he scored almost a goal every game in the Bundesliga, which is still mental anyway, whilst not playing for Bayern Munich. But we'll ignore that for now. He still broke basically every record there is to break in the Champions League. And he's still, the type of goals he scores is set up beautifully for City. He scores all of his goals in the area. Man City create chances for players in the area. Cool, he's not going to be able to run in behind because teams are going to sit back. He's not going to get that space to run on and get one-on-one opportunities with the goalkeeper because there's not going to be any counter-attacking going on. Everyone's going to sit back and park the bus against Man City. But he still scores more than enough different types of goal to do the job. He's good in the air. He's a poacher in the box. He's got strength to just brush defenders aside. And he's got the know-how to know where he needs to be to score. On top of that, Calvin Phillips is a perfect DM for what Pep Guardiola wants. They've lost Sterling and Jesus, so there's maybe a little bit of a lack of depth in the wide areas now. That might be something they want to look into, but for now, they've still got enough to win the league. But that is my complete Premier League predictions for the 2022-23 season. What do you make of them? Let me know down in the comments section below. Manchester City are my Premier League champions, with Liverpool, Chelsea and United filling out the rest of the Champions League spots. In the Europa League, we've got the likes of Tottenham, Arsenal and West Ham. And then down at the bottom, I'm feeling Everton getting relegated, which is an outrageous shout. I already know that's going to bite me in the arse. Along with Fulham and Bournemouth newly promoted. But what do you make of it down in the comment section below? Who's winning the league? Who's going down? Who's getting in the top 4? Who's finishing 15th in the league? I don't care. Just let me know down there below. If you enjoyed this one though, feel free to slap a like on the video. And of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @TheOfficialFNG on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. And goodbye.